first step to making our Hefeweizen is to grind our wheat. We've already started. I got about 2 pounds left. It's a coarse grind. Next, I'm going to mix in the German Pilsner malted barley. I got about 4 pounds of that. So that gives us a total of 10 pounds of grain. All right, I think I've got everything in order. I've got towels and rags, ingredients, yeast, hops, bucket of grain, instructions, a weigh boat and scale, some salt and calcium carbonate to condition the water, spray sanitizer, tartaric acid, a little bit of food grade lubricant for when I set up the cooling process, pH meter, temperature gauge, hydrometer, some temperature resistant gloves, water, gas. Here's the mash pot. It's a 10-gallon pot, which I've set up with my brewing bag inside. It actually has a handy little inserted colander. Over here we've got our sanitation station. This is a PBW, rinse bucket, and 4 gallons of sanitizer. All right, we have gas and a rope, water, and a fermenter, which will be sanitized during the boil. All right, so the temperature is a little bit high. I want to pour the grains in at around, you want to do the ferulic acid rest, which is to use the clove flavors, typical of a Hefeweizen, about like 129 degrees. So I'm hoping that adding this is going to drop the temp to sufficient to back down to 113. Did not drop the temperature the way I wanted. I guess I could add a little bit of water. 129. Yeah, it's at 120 now. It's better. We're still at 121, which is higher than I wanted, about 9 degrees higher. But it does have a nice creamy color, which, according to the internet, is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to hope that it's okay. So you want 5.2 to 5.4. It's a tick high, but I don't know what, the additional cooking is going to do to this. All right, finish the ferulic acid rest, and now have the gas back on, and we are slowly stirring constantly. Ooh. While I try to bring the temperature up to 135 Fahrenheit. That's for the beta amylase rest. And that's going to have to sit there for 30 minutes and relax. Okay, so the beta amylase rest is done. I've just turned the heat back on. You can hear the gas flowing again. And now I got to bring it up to, 156. For the alpha amylase, and that should maximize the production of the sugar. So I'll bring it up to 156 Fahrenheit, and then turn the heat back off, cap it, and let it rest for another 30 minutes. Now going to raise it up to 168 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. That's the mash out. So that is the temperature at which the enzymes will denature and stop processing things into sugars. Isn't it beautiful? Not really. It just looks murky. Very murky. It smells like corn, which is weird because there's no corn in it. Alright, so I've poured the sparge water over, and it's finishing draining out. Looks like I have, I don't know, somewhere between 6 and 7 gallons now. There's the bag with the grains in it, and I've just been pouring 170-degree water over top. All right, so I've got about, I don't know, hopefully 7 gallons of wort. It has a specific gravity of 1.040 and a pH of 5.6. That's a little bit high. Hoping that the boil off, which I'm commencing now, will, I know it will reduce the volume. The goal is to get about 5 gallons, so we should lose about 2 gallons in the boiling process. And that obviously will concentrate the sugar, so the specific gravity should go up. The target specific gravity is 1.050 according to the recipe, and the pH, you want it really between 5.2 and 5.4. So we'll see if it lowers it. If not, I will sprinkle in a little bit more tartaric acid, since that's what I've got on hand, and try to lower it a little bit. Forgot to add that I tasted it after I checked the gravity and whatnot, and I mean, I don't know, it doesn't taste bad, but just tastes like slightly sweet liquid. It's pretty ugly at this point. It's kind of a golden, well, more dishwater brown, to be honest. Dirty dishwater brown. Very dirty dishwater brown. Hopefully, once it ferments and clears out, it'll be a pale golden yellow. So I think that's what it's supposed to look like. We'll find out. All right, so 2 things I learned in school today. 1, make sure you've got a backup tank of gas. We've had to switch to electric to do the boil. Our gas tank ran out. So, and the second thing I learned in school today is, beer making is hard work. And brew day begins at 8 a.m. for a reason. I dithered about until noon, and so you can tell it's already dusk. So it's going to be a minute before I can get this thing boiled and then cooled and then put in the fermenter. So we finally got our wort boiling, and here are the hops. I'm adding a total of 1 ounce. The HBC 1019 is the hop variety that I'm adding. They smell like very juniper-y. Yep. I'm sure it'll be delicious. Right now it's not. But, so I added 0.2 ounces for now for bittering. And the rest, so 0.8 ounces, will go in about 10 minutes prior to the end of the boil for aroma. Hopefully it will complement the banana and clove flavors, which are typical of a Hefeweizen. This, right now, I'm not really loving. Right, we're at 10 minutes before end of boil, and this is the last hops edition. Looks like we got about 5.5 gallons total, and I pulled a little bit out to check the specific gravity and the pH, and then we'll get to chilling this wort. We are right at 1.050 with our specific gravity, and pH is really high. Fermenter is sterilized and ready to go. We've tested the little coolant coil, and I've got a nice big heat sink here to make sure we can get this cooled off pretty quickly. So I just turned on the chiller. You can see we're under 200 degrees now, 195-ish, and This chiller is in a coil that comes from here, and then into this big trash can full of water, which is a nice heat sink, about 50-degree water in there. We should see, oh, we already dropped 5 degrees. Pretty cool. All right, we are 24 hours in. You can see the temperature is at what, 76, and we have a very active fermentation happening. Here's a close-up of the fermentation CO2 emission from the blowout tube. This evening I'm performing another diacetyl test. This test will determine if VDKs, vicinal diketones, are remaining in the beer. If they are, then that can lead to off flavors over time. An easy way to test for the completion of VDK processing by the yeast is to perform this force test. Initially, you take a sample of your untreated beer, split it in half, take one half and heat it to 150 degrees. I used this canning jar and heated it in a water bath on the stove. Let it rest for 5 minutes. Cool it in an ice bath until it comes down to an ambient temperature, and then compare. So drink the untreated beer, and if you taste any fake butter, that is an indication that the yeast has not completed the process of working through those VDKs. It will convert them from diacetyl into butanidol and into pentanidol, which have a much higher perception threshold. So it is less likely that a person drinking your beer is going to notice them than with the diacetyl flavors. So that's the goal. There are 3 assessments that you can come to. The first is that both the treated and the untreated beer have these sort of buttery flavors or butterscotch flavors. That means that there's still a high presence of VDK and the beer needs much more contact time with the yeast. The second option is that VDKs are perceptible in the treated beer, but not in the unheat treated beer. That means that the beer is nearing completion, but still requires a little more time in contact with the yeast. If both samples are free of VDK aromas and flavors, the beer is ready to proceed, at which point then you would rack it off of the yeast and into your keg for conditioning, cooling, and then eventually carbonation and serving. Prost!